Baker Mayfield. What a guy. After my hours of research and watching film, I'm pretty pro Baker Mayfield. I like the guy. He's the kind of quarterback that makes you pick a side, though. He's at this point in his career, he's a polarizing quarterback. Now, when it comes to his ability as an NFL quarterback, he's really good. However, like all quarterbacks, the guy has flaws. He's not perfect. So what I'm going to do is lay it all out. I'm going to provide a roadmap of areas that I believe will help him take his game to the next level. And hopefully in the next year, in the next NFL season in 2019, we will see improvement from him and see him take leaps and bounds forward. So I want to start here. Anybody who tells you Baker Mayfield's size is a concern, simply wrong. His height does not affect him in the pocket at all, and the dude has a cannon. No joke, I'm going to be very, very clear. If you are a young quarterback, copy Baker Mayfield's mechanics. The way the dude throws the football is so fundamentally sound. It's incredible. The dude generates a ton of force with his legs and his core. It's fantastic. He torques his core and his legs really hard, almost very similar to the way a batter would hit a baseball. And that is why he can generate so much velocity and distance with a football. He might be half the size of Big Ben, but they throw the ball very similar and have very similar arm strength. I love Baker Mayfield's ability to throw the football. The dude's got a cannon. He's highly accurate. This is a number one reason why people, or at least a big reason why people should believe in Baker Mayfield as a quarterback in the NFL. The dude can win games with his arm. He can throw the ball in really tight windows. He can beat man coverage, and he can win from the pocket. I'm sold. I watch that. I go, oh, that throw is different. That's special. That's a high-level throw. There's a play against the Falcons where he works all the way, as a rookie, by the way. As a rookie against the Falcons, he works all the way across the field, throws his backside read, a backside comeback. It's a great play. It's a next-level, big-time throw. He's also not afraid to get hit. Baker Mayfield steps into his throws even when he knows he's going to take a big hit. Now, when Baker was in trouble or he needed a big play, he would target Jarvis Landry, who is a really talented wide receiver. He's paid like a really talented wide receiver. And then when I watched the Browns, what really stood out to me was not Jarvis Landry. It was the Browns' tight end, David Njoku. I knew David Njoku was really good, but his ability to catch the ball in traffic or, catch the ball with people all around him was wildly impressive to me. Now, the Browns just traded for a top wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. And with Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry combined, they will demand a lot of attention from defenses. Now, I believe this is going to cause David Njoku to become a primary target on third downs and when Baker needs a play. And in a gimme situation, when Baker needs a play, the defense is going to put all their attention on everybody else. And David Njoku is going to get a great matchup. And he's going to have a lot of key catches next year, in my opinion, for the Cleveland Browns. Now, another Browns wide receiver, Antonio Callaway, did not impress me. He was the Browns' primary outside deep threat last season, and he did okay. Wasn't awful, but the guy left a lot on the table. And when I was watching him, I often found myself thinking, man, Odell Beckham Jr. would make that catch. Odell Beckham Jr. would make that play. Now, it's also worth noting another one of Baker's strengths is his ability to put the ball up. He can put the ball up. He can allow his receivers to make big plays. That's the kind of guy he is. I really think that Baker does a better job of that than Odell Beckham Jr.'s former quarterback, Eli Manning. OBJ and Baker's strengths really help each other. And if OBJ can keep his cool, they're going to be a fantastic match. The marriage in Cleveland between Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. should be fantastic. OBJ seems like a great fit in Cleveland. Now, because of the weapons they added, because of the talent around Baker, and it's been another year, so he's probably 1 year better, it's totally reasonable to me to expect that Baker Mayfield's productivity will increase tremendously next season in 2019. I think he's going to look a lot better. I think the Browns' offense is going to look a lot better. But Baker Mayfield is not perfect. He was good last year. He was the best of all the rookie quarterbacks. But there is a big gap between the way that Baker Mayfield played last season and the guys at the top, guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees played. There's a layer of polish and a list of things that separate him from the best of the best. When you watch Baker last season, you notice that the dude was running around, extending plays. He was running around quite a bit. It was a big part of his game. That's how the guy plays football. And his ability to scramble led to a number of big plays for the Browns. But I want to be careful here because I don't want to discourage Baker running. Baker Mayfield running and extending plays is not necessarily a bad thing, but there is a flip side. For all the good plays that were generated, there were also dangerous throws. There were interceptions. Some of his best plays were made when he was outside the pocket on the run, extending plays. And some of his worst plays were also made. Some of his worst interceptions and worst throws were made because Baker Mayfield was running around and throwing the ball out of rhythm. So sometimes Baker Mayfield ran around and extended plays unnecessarily, at times when he did not need to. He needs to cut down on those plays. He needs to run less when he doesn't need to. Now, sometimes the Browns' offensive line would screw up. They'd let a guy come free, and Baker would make a move, throw a touchdown downfield. That's fantastic. I love that. If a play breaks down, if there's a broken play, go be a playmaker. That's fantastic. I am not discouraging that at all. But running unnecessarily, that's what we don't want. We don't want him running when there's other options. But let's be honest, Baker can move a little bit, but Baker is not Russell Wilson. He's not as fast as Kyler Murray. He's not as fast as Lamar Jackson. He's unlikely to win a race anytime soon. He can run if he has to, but no more. No more than that. And there are a number of reasons why Baker Mayfield ran around and extended plays last year. Sometimes, in fact, he would get sacked because he did a poor job expecting the blitz, expecting pressure. And we'll talk about that down the road. But sometimes the Browns were simply in a bad situation, and instead of changing a play, Baker Mayfield would run the play and make something work anyways. Sometimes the Browns simply had a play called that the defense was really well prepared to stop. Now, here's the big difference between Baker and quarterbacks at the top like Tom Brady and Drew Brees. So if Tom Brady and the New England Patriots are on offense, and the defense lines up across from them with a perfect play call to stop the Patriots' offense, what does Tom Brady do? Tom Brady would change the play call pre-snap. Drew Brees would change the play call pre-snap. If a defense has got the perfect play called against the Patriots' offense, Tom Brady would counter and change the play before the ball is snapped. Teams like the Patriots, teams like the Saints are almost never caught with a poor play call because their quarterback would change the play before the ball is snapped. Now, last year when the Browns would line up against a defensive scheme designed to stop their play call, what was Baker's answer? Did Baker change the play? No, Baker's answer was to run the play anyway, and then he'd run around and extend a play and make something work. And it was somewhat successful, right? I'll be honest, like it worked sometimes. He would extend plays. It was great. That was a large part of Baker Mayfield's game last year, is to make up for his shortcomings with knowledge by running around, extending plays. But Tom Brady doesn't run around. He doesn't need to run around. He never lets it get that far. And that's the biggest difference between Baker Mayfield, and top-tier quarterbacks, elite-level quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Last year, Baker was limited by his understanding of defenses and his inability to change plays pre-snap. I don't know if that was coach mandated. I don't know if he didn't have the permission, or maybe he didn't have the knowledge to do it. But either way, it was a limiting factor to Baker Mayfield's game. Now, often, I will acknowledge, right, often it worked. He would make up for his shortcomings. He'd run around and make something work. Yes. But my guess is that as the years go on, Baker's going to scramble less often and instead work on the mental side of things. He's going to change plays pre-snap more often rather than running around. His answer to having a bad play call will be to change the play rather than running around and making something work. Another thing is that many times Baker did a poor job recognizing blitzes and understanding when teams were bringing pressure and where pressure was coming from. Young quarterbacks, you need to learn this. Please listen to me. You got to do two things. You got to learn to recognize where pressure is coming from and learn to love. If a team blitzes you, learn to smile, be happy. That's a great thing to celebrate. Because what that means is there are fewer people in coverage. If they bring a man blitz and have man coverage downfield, guess what? You can beat man coverage with your arm. If you're confident in your arm, you're happy. You love that. But even better is if there's a zone blitz. What a zone blitz is where everybody's accounted for a zone, and a defender leaves that zone to come to you. That means there's a space open on the field. If a linebacker blitzes, replace him with the ball. Throw to the area they are coming from. I love, especially when linebackers blitz. Oh, I love when linebackers blitz me. There was a play during week 7. It was the Browns versus the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers blitzed their inside linebackers, which left the middle of the field wide open. And instead of hanging tight in the pocket and trying to throw the ball over the middle, Baker tries to run around and takes a sack. He should have just hung tight. There's a guy wide open. Throw the ball to the open man. Now, there's another play later in the year, in week 14 against the Panthers. Baker took a sack because he did not recognize pressure coming off of the edge. He should have just calmly thrown the ball where the blitzer was coming from. Hey, that guy's coming off the edge. I'll just throw the ball where he's coming from. There's now a vacated zone on the field. But instead, Baker tried to run away, got sacked, and he lost 6 yards. I mean, when the linebacker blitzed, Jarvis Landry was left wide open. Jarvis Landry, your top paid wide receiver, throw the ball. Be calm. Learn to love pressure. And Baker Mayfield needs to learn and do a better job at recognizing pressure and recognizing where pressure is coming from. All around, the guy needs to get better at understanding defenses. But more specifically, he needs to get better at manipulating defenses with his eyes. At times in 2018, last year, his rookie season, at times he stared down his wide receivers. Against the Chargers, week 6, he locks into his first read. He locks into David Njoku. His eyes never leave David Njoku. Makes it really easy for the defense to know where he's going with the ball. They step in front of it, grab an interception. Later in week 17, end of the year against Baltimore, Baker stares down a wide receiver. He might as well have had a sign on his forehead saying, "Hey, I'm throwing the ball to the left." You watch his eyes pre-snap. Watch his eyes pre-snap, watch his eyes post-snap. They never once look to the right. His eyes are left the entire time. They're constantly locked on the left side of the field. He never looks right. He stares down his receiver. The defense reads his eyes, tips the ball up, and grabs an interception. Another issue Baker had was late throws. Against the Chargers in week 6, he made a throw late to Jarvis Landry. And people got mad at me during my college quarterback breakdowns when I said that at the NFL level, the ball needs to be thrown. The ball needs to be out of your hands before or as the receiver's making their break. This is exactly why. Jarvis Landry's sitting there waiting for the ball, and what it does is allows the defender to make a play and knock the ball away. Now, later in the season, it got even worse. That habit led to an interception against Houston. Baker made a throw too late. Antonio Callaway's long time out of his break. He's just sitting waiting for the ball. And the defender steps right in front of him and grabs an easy interception. Baker also missed some easy throws. I praised Baker's accuracy, but the guy's not infallible. He's not perfect. He's occasionally inaccurate. He just missed random throws. He's got a tendency to sail throws over people's heads. His feet get too wide sometimes. And when he doesn't follow through and finish his throws all the way through, he throws the ball over people's heads. And on one occasion, he missed an easy touchdown. It was a pass on the goal line against the Raiders. And because of that miss, the Browns had to settle for a field goal. And guess what? They went on to lose in overtime. That missed slant was the difference in the game. Can't have that. Like, I know that's brutal. I know that's harsh. But that's the difference between Baker Mayfield and Tom Brady. Tom Brady does not miss that opportunity, does not miss that throw. Look, I'm not trying to trash Baker Mayfield. The point of this is to say that Baker Mayfield had a good year last year. He broke the rookie record for touchdown passes. That's awesome. But the point is that he was far from perfect last year. He had a multitude of flaws. He struggled at times to read defenses. He didn't manipulate defenses very well. Last season, he did not compare well to guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees. There's a big gap between Baker Mayfield and the guys at the top. He missed blitzes. He made late throws. He had inaccurate throws. He had interceptions on the run. He stared down some of his wide receivers. Baker Mayfield made a lot of good plays last year. Yes, he did. But there were also numerous things he can do better. And those small details are the difference between Baker Mayfield being a solid quarterback and an elite level quarterback. I'm rooting for the guy. I believe in the guy. But he's got flaws in his game and things he's got to improve, like any quarterback does. And let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I like Baker. I think he's great. I think he's going to succeed. I believe in him. But those are things he needs to work on to take his game to the next level. I'm excited to watch. I can't wait to see what happens to Baker Mayfield. I'm rooting for the guy. I love his spunk. I love his attitude. But he's not perfect. And he's got a lot of things to work on to take his game to the next level and become an elite level quarterback. I just want to say thank you so very much for tuning in. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It is my favorite thing in the entire world. And my dream is to someday build Strong Opinion Sports into a company that I can run as my full-time job. And if you believe in me, if you believe in that dream, please do me a huge favor. Help me grow by telling your friends about the show. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Another way you can help if you want to, no pressure. I have a PayPal, paypal.me/Zach Schaumler. I also have a Patreon account, patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. It'd be a huge help. That's my only source of income. If you have no money, no problem, though. I don't care. I'm a broke college kid myself. I know what it's like. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, man, I don't expect anything. It'd be a huge help if you could tell your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. That's the number one way you can help this show is help me grow by telling your friends about this podcast.